This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Got another special guest with me today, actor Erick Lopez. Erick, how's it going?
Yo, what's up, man?
So, can you give us a brief summary about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm in Los Angeles, California right now, and I'm on a TV show on CW called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I play Hector, and yeah, just pretty much doing the acting and filmmaking thing out here in Los Angeles.
Gotcha. So, you grew up in Dallas, Texas, right?
Right. Yeah, I grew up in Dallas. I think it was, since kindergarten and forward.
Oh, you moved to Dallas in when you were in kindergarten?
Yeah, it was like right before. I was actually living in, Ontario, California, and then after like the Northridge earthquake and stuff, my parents were like, "We got to get out of here."
Oh, okay.
So we moved up to Texas.
Gotcha. So, how did you break into the acting industry?
I was actually playing basketball on my high school team, and I tore a ligament coming down from a rebound on my ankle. And yeah, it was not pretty. I couldn't do anything. I was kind of bummed. And during that time, I was also taking a drama class. And, I had to kind of put my energy somewhere because I couldn't, run around or anything.
Yeah, this is ironically funny. Like, I just interviewed Carl McDowell from Ballers, and he pretty much had almost the same story. He was like, I got injured in football, and then I picked up acting because I was in an acting class.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. I started talking to other people, and once, like other actors who, I guess, were athletes, they kind of made the same jump. I guess it was all kind of meant to be in a weird way.
Yeah, for sure. How about this one? Could you break it down to us what an audition is like?
Oh man, yeah. So it depends. If you don't have an agent or manager, you kind of have to go hunting for an audition, and you go to different websites and you kind of paint yourself like, hey, I'm good for this part or whatever. And you go in and you do the sign-in process and everything, and then they see you run the lines with the reader. There's usually like a camera there and everything, and then afterwards you go home. But with an agent and a manager, usually they send you everything like, hey, you have an audition tomorrow, and or 2 days ahead or something, depending on what the project is. And you go in there and same thing. You kind of you perform in front of a like a little like small room and a small little camera, and you have a reader reading off to you. And yeah, pretty much it.
Gotcha. And how'd you get the part as Hector on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
That was kind of an interesting thing. It wasn't a normal audition. Typically, they send you like a script. They call them sides because they're like a small piece of the script. Sometimes they don't send you the whole script. So typically, that's what you get. You can memorize it. You can show up prepared. But for Crazy X, they didn't send any scripts. They just said, hey, just come prepared to do whatever.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thrown off. I was like, oh man, what is this going to be about? Yeah, I went in there, and all I had to go off of was that I was, the character was a stoner. And I was like, okay, so a stoner would probably dress like a hoodie or something. But then I started thinking, I'm like, man, everyone's going to dress like that. Yeah. So I'm like, well, what about this character? Like, what are his dreams? Like, what are, like, I started thinking about friends of mine, and I'm like, you know what? Some of them are like skateboarders, and some of them are like surfers. Yeah. And I happen to have a Hawaiian shirt, so I put on a Hawaiian shirt, and I put on a little bandana, and I went in there as the stoner surfer dude instead of just the stoner guy.
Gotcha. So how long did it take for you to know that you got the part from that?
It ranges. Typically, you'll do an audition, and then if they like you, then they'll bring you back again in front of like the producers or director, and that's called a callback. Yeah. And then after that, then you'll usually find out. If it's a bigger part, like if you're like the lead of the show, then they're going to probably put you in front of more people. But usually it's just like a week or so, you'll find out. For some projects, honestly, you'll know like months later. It's crazy. Yeah,
for sure. And is it like, do they email you or tell your agent like regardless if you get it or not, or do they just like leave it open ended?
No, man, they leave it open ended if you don't get it, and it kills you because it's such a crazy timeline. Like sometimes they let you know the next day, sometimes they let you know in a week, sometimes they let you know in like a month. You never know. So for me, I always do a rule. It's like if I don't hear back by the end of the week, or first thing following week, if I do it at the end of the week, then I just put it out. I'm just like, okay, I didn't get it. Put it out of my head.
Yeah, and then like if it comes around and they say you got it, then you're just pumped. You're like, all right, I'm back.
yeah, I'm back in. I'm locked in again. Because then it becomes a surprise instead of like you just agonizing over it. Especially if you spend so much time with the project. Like if you get a script and then you're like, okay, I have to memorize these lines. I have 2 days to memorize. You spend 2 days just like nonstop doing those lines. Then you'll do the audition, and then they're like, hey, they want to see you again. You start getting more excited, and like you go another couple of days memorizing the lines because you want to get it right for the callback. And then after that, you have a couple more days to wait before they make a decision. So by that time, you've fully been invested into this one character, and you're like, I kind of want this thing now. But you have to be okay with rolling with the punches, rolling with the nose.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say are some similar indifferences about Hector and Erick?
It's funny because whenever they originally wrote the character of Hector, he was very kind of goofy and fun-loving and just kind of this kind of goofier character. I feel like I have that side of me, deep down inside. It comes out every once in a while because I'm an introvert. Every once in a while, but the extrovert will come out. But then they started writing him as more of like this, voice of wisdom later on. It's kind of interesting because it became such a growth for the character, but it also became closer to what I am. I even asked Rachel and the other writers, I was like, hey, I noticed that this character went a completely different way. They're like, yeah, we decided to kind of like give him more growth, and also too, like it's very much closer to you too. So I was like, oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that happens kind of like a lot with. I feel like I hear stories about just like characters becoming like they change it up all the time.
Oh yeah, and it becomes it's really cool actually, because then the works feel like the writers are so good they just predict kind of like what you would probably say in the scenario, even like heightened scenarios and stuff. So it just all feels supernatural the more time that goes by.
For sure. Do fans ever run up to you and say like, hey, what's up, Hector, instead of like, what's up, Erick?
Yeah, we'll get that. The more common thing is, where do I know you from? Or hey, did we go to school together? Or did you work at this place? And I always just kind of chuckle and say, do you watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? And I used to not. I used to be like, oh, they probably don't know me from the show. But then, my friends would be like, dude, like, that probably would have made their day if you had told them that you were from that show. Yeah. So I started doing that, and then sure enough, like, pretty much everyone that does that knows me from the show. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I saw you were on a couple Shameless episodes, so what was that like?
Oh, that was dope. Yeah, that was super fast paced. They don't mess around over there, man. They get stuff done. But the cast couldn't have been like nicer. Meeting William H. Macy was probably the very, very few times that I kind of like mentally had to be like, all right, don't freak out. But everyone on the cast was super cool.
Gotcha. And would you say like again the role as Hector was like a breakthrough for you and like put you into a different like scale, and now people like know you more?
Yeah, originally I was on an MTV show that helped me out a lot, and just to show you how small this world is, the entertainment world, the creator of that show, he actually was friends with one of the producers on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So then whenever I had my audition go in, the producer asked, hey, I noticed that he was on this MTV show with you. What do you like to work with? Yeah. And he put in a good word and everything. And it's like it always goes like full circle. Like you think that one thing helped you make it, but in reality it was something that you did in the past that helped you get that thing, and then maybe that thing helped you get another thing that will break value further. So yeah, definitely. It's all about networking nowadays, especially. So what other shows or movies do you have coming up? So we're finishing up season 4 Crazy X. We're almost done with that, probably around March, and then it'll be on Netflix and everything. And then I just we had a feature film that I was the lead in, the first film that I was the lead in, and it just came out on Amazon Video, so it's pretty exciting. Hearing the feedback and everyone being like, "Whoa, dude, this is like a drama. I'm used to you doing like comedy. It's crazy."
Gotcha. What's that called?
It's called Flavor of Life.
Flavor of Life. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty good family drama. It's pretty fun.
And what's your dream role?
Dream role, man. I would say Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond. If they ever did a Batman Beyond film, I'd be really down to do a Terry McGinnis.
Okay. What about would you be willing to just be like in? Is that one of your goals to be in like any kind of superhero movie?
Yeah, and it used to not be, but then I started noticing like the reach that you can have on as far as like people like making their day and visiting kids and stuff like that, and then seeing you as that superhero, like that's a really cool effect that you can have. And seeing a lot of the Marvel films, like if any one of those dudes went to a school, it would just completely like make kids go nuts. They'll probably remember that for the rest of their lives. So it's a really cool way to you can give back, but like you can have a bigger outreach whenever you're doing a superhero film.
Yeah, definitely. And what advice would you give to up and coming actors or actresses?
I recently went back to Texas to do a couple workshops to kind of help students navigate, like high school students, the acting and filmmaking world, because I wish that I would have known that in high school. Because in high school, I knew that I wanted to do this for a living. So one of the things that, one of the big questions that would always come up, like, how do I talk to my parents about this? And like finances, they're just like, man, like, how can I afford to be an actor, So I usually tell them, like, with the parents, like, you just have to understand that, they love you, they care for you, and they want you. They don't want to see you get rejected, and they know that there's a lot of rejection involved. Mm-hmm. So whenever they challenge you and say, I don't think this is wise and whatnot, just look at it as their way of caring, and then also understand from where they're coming from, and help them understand that the risk and you're working to mitigate the risk. So like you can instead of like going to, if your parents are hardcore about like you cannot study theater, you can always study like business or like marketing or communication in college, and then still be a part of the theater program, still be a part of the film program on the side when you're in college. And then that way, marketing and business is still all part of the world. You still have to know that kind of stuff, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. How about, do you think you have to like go to school, like college for acting, or you think you could, like, what do you think the easier route is? Like going to college and for acting, or like just going straight to like LA, like out of high school?
I think it depends on where they are currently. Like if a student is in Los Angeles, then I don't see any reason why they would need to, they can go either way. If you go to UCLA or if they go to USC, like those are great professors, and you can get a great, network connection. Mm-hmm. Your degree's not going to do anything, but it's all about the people that are working there, the other actors you meet, the filmmakers you meet. And then at the same time, like if you're out hustling, like I, at 18, 19, I was already hustling, trying to get like auditions out in the real world. And mostly because I couldn't afford to really do acting school properly through like college and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, like, and it still worked out. You still get the same kind of experience by being on set and being around other people that are really doing this,
Yeah, for sure. Back to what we were just saying before, it's just all about the networking.
Yeah, for sure. Putting yourself out there.
Yeah. And you ready for some fun questions?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So what do you like to do in your free time?
Oh man, free time. Like fun stuff. I'll go play basketball and stuff with friends. Yeah. But like hobby stuff, I actually just started a tech startup with a buddy of mine, and we're working on that, and it's all about like community. It's like a tech app. It's called Dizzy, DZY, and it's in the iOS app store, and like it's just a way to help people kind of put all their plans in one place. I feel like no one wants to use Facebook events anymore. Text messaging can get like overwhelming. Like we wanted to make it easier to just make plans and schedule time with friends.
So it's like a calendar / planner type thing.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because it's like a social network, like calendar, and it's all like in a really fun, packaged way. Okay. It's not like it doesn't feel formal, because I feel like calendar might be so like formal, like be here at this time, yada yada. Yeah. So we wanted to make it a fun kind of way to schedule things.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll have to check that out too. What
sure.
about this one? You can answer this one or not. Have you ever had a crazy ex?
I have.
You know, I had to ask you.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because it was back in high school. I think at that point you're still trying to figure out like your emotions, and you're trying to figure out like, you know, you have so much to love, you have so much to give, and you know, at the end of the day, if I would have loved her on the same level as she loved me, then she wouldn't have been crazy. We probably would have been married right now, you know. Yeah. But you know, crazy is all, you know, perspective wise, I guess. So maybe she wasn't that crazy. She was just like hardcore in love. Yeah.
Well, that was funny. That's pretty funny. And what are people? What's like one thing that people don't know about you?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I try to be pretty open. I got eloped recently.
Okay.
I guess like
so you got married.
Like I put it on Instagram. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
congrats.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's wow. It's just something that we just decided to do, get away from the whole. You know, our parents and family still wanted to do a ceremony, a proper ceremony. Yeah. We figured like weddings are so much about other people that we just wanted to do something first before we dove into that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I know, like the wedding thing is crazy to me. Yeah. It's just like actually a couple of my friends are like, yeah, we're not going to have a wedding. We're just going to have like a huge party instead. I'm like, yeah, that's even better.
Yeah, there you go.
And could you give me your top 3 favorite movies of all time?
Oh man, see, I'm different. Like I know most people will be like, you know, Godfather and all that stuff, but I go off of, you know, growing up and watching films and feeling a certain way about them. So I'd say number 1 would be Remember the Titans for sure. I think it's an overall just like really cool film. And then the rest in no particular order, I would say Pulp Fiction and Clockwork Orange.
Okay.
Man, those are so trippy. Yeah.
I like that. As an actor, do you watch movies and TV shows like differently? Like, because you know more?
Yeah, and you know, there's a couple different. You either watch it religiously and you're like up to date with everything, or you completely like. There's people that just like tune out and they just, you know, they have their shows they go to, and I used to watch everything like very religiously, and then you know, the influx of all these new TV shows and films. There's always things to watch. I actually started going more towards watching documentaries and watching, I guess the animation stuff. You know, like I'll watch my Rick and Morty and South Park, and then flip over and watch some like documentary about like some real stuff. You know,
Gotcha.
Yeah, just because it's a nice change of pace. Because you, as an actor, you do see like TV shows, and you're like, yeah, you see it differently. I don't know how to explain it, but you definitely see it differently.
Are you ever just like watching like TV or flicking through the channels and you're just like, oh, I know that person, like because you've been around?
Yeah, for
like,
sure. That happens even more, which is so bad because then you feel bad for not watching whenever you see them in person. You're like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen your TV show yet, or your film. So, but it's really cool. It's really cool, and you try to make an effort to eventually get around to it. But yeah, man, there's just so much TV and film out there right now.
Yeah, for sure. I know you're Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Mavericks fan, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think the Cowboys are going to do?
Man, see, I'm in Los Angeles, and as soon as the Eagles won, I immediately went on Ticketmaster and I got me some tickets for the LA game. So yeah, my birthday's coming up on the 15th, so I'm like, this is my birthday present. This is my early birthday present to go to this game. So yeah, definitely hoping they win. Definitely hoping they come out with a W. Like, man, it'll be so big to get past this divisional round.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's gonna be a tough game, but I think they got a shot because they've been playing really good.
Yeah, their defense has actually stepped up. So that's the thing. I'm like, if our defense plays well, then we can go toe to toe with anybody.
Definitely. Have you been to any Mavericks games recently?
No, I want to see Luka, man. That guy is killing it. I want to watch him. Hopefully, I'm fingers crossed. Hopefully, they make the playoffs because I'll be back in Dallas around that time, and I'll definitely be going to one of those games. Yeah,
that guy became overnight sensation. He's been on Twitter like every day for the past week.
Yeah, he's literally like I think he's leading the All-Star ballot. Isn't he, like, for votes?
Yeah, he might be.
There's something crazy. Yeah. If not, he's like one of the top people. So it's wild, man. I'm really excited. I hope he stays in Dallas.
Yeah, definitely. Are you a fan of Mark Cuban?
Yeah, Mark Cuban, the thing that got me about him is very, as soon as he came in, he was very detail-oriented, and he cared about the players. He cares about, their health. He makes sure that, they have top doctors. He makes sure that, everyone's good. And, Dirk's a prime example of that. Like, this guy is playing, like, he's still around. The fact that he's still around is, like, amazing, and that goes to how well the doctors are doing in Dallas. So anyone that takes care of their players, I respect.
Yeah, I even saw, I think it was like the anniversary of him owning the team a couple days ago, and he put out like the video, and the video clip was of Vince Carter and Dirk Nowitzki, and I'm like, this is crazy because it was like 20 years ago or something like that, and both of them are still active right now.
That's wild. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even make sense. That's why I was like, holy, it's crazy that Vince Carter is still playing, to be honest. But
I saw a clip of him earlier this year dunking, and I was all like, how are you doing this, dude? Like,
yeah, he's still doing this crazy dunk. I think he still did I think he did a 360 dunk in the game, like recently, like this year.
Man, insane.
Yeah, he's crazy. Good luck to your Cowboys, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and best of luck with all your acting and everything.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Yeah, go Cowboys.
Yeah, where could people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Mr. Erick Lopez. So at Mr. Erick Lopez. And then for Twitter, it's Erick, ERICK, B, Victor, and then Lopez, Erick B. Lopez.
All right, awesome.